YouTube, how's it going? I'm back with an updated 2-round NFL mock draft, pre-combine mock draft. Starts up tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Free agency coming up. It's a good time of year here for NFL fans. But if you watch my other videos, I'm doing team by team 7-round mocks. Those are more what I would do in the draft for those teams. And these mocks, these regular mock drafts, are more along the lines of what I think will happen. It's near impossible to predict because we got trades that we don't cover in this. We can't predict in these mocks, and there's always some surprises on draft night. That's what makes it so great. But let's get into it. We got the Browns with the first pick. Would I make this pick? Probably not, but I think it will be the pick. Sam Darnold, quarterback, USC. If you watch my other videos, you know I'm not super high on Darnold, but if there is a team he should go to, it's a team closest to the earliest stages of rebuild mode, which teams that stand out, the Browns, maybe the Jets, teams like that. So if he was to go to a team, it would be the Browns, but I don't think he's worthy of the first overall pick. Sounds like the Browns could deal the first overall pick too, but never know. We'll see. Second pick, I got the Giants going with Josh Rosen, quarterback, UCLA. I think if he's here, then they got to take him, even though he's not my number 2 player or number 1 player on the board. I think they're looking for the quarterback of the future. Shermer's got to get his guy for the future. I know it's going to be hard for Shermer to pass on Barkley. He would love to have him in his offense. He loves using running backs, maybe a little too much. But he knows he's able to get a good one in the second round because there's a lot of good running backs in this draft class. I like Barkley a lot. He's a great player. Don't see a running back like him all the time, but maybe some experts are overrating him just a little bit. Not that I think he's really good, so I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. I just think there's not much separation between a Barkley and a Geis or a Ronald Jones, Sony Michel. I think they're pretty close in talent, and most people don't realize that. But he's a heck of a player, top player, one of the top players in the draft, but not number 1 is what I'm saying right now. But before we get to where Barkley's going to, we got the third pick. It's Bradley Chubb, defense end, NC State. The Colts, it's either got to be Chubb or Barkley here. That's what you expect. Could be a little bit of a surprise. Tremaine Edmonds is a very good player. Could go there. Could go offensive lineman, but I think they would have to trade back. And the Colts is a realistic team that you can see trading back. Maybe they don't want to go too far back, though. But I got him going Chubb from NC State. And then 4, Saquon Barkley, running back, Penn State. So the Browns get Darnold and Barkley. Pretty good draft. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Darnold, but that's still looking pretty good for the future. And then 5, I'm going Baker Mayfield, quarterback, Oklahoma, to the Denver Broncos. This, if they don't get Kirk Cousins, I expect Kirk to either go to the Broncos, the Jets, or the Vikings. I'm actually kind of leaning towards the Vikings at the moment. It could be wrong, though, but maybe it's all BS what we're hearing, but it sounds realistic. So I got Broncos going Mayfield. I think they rather have Mayfield over Allen because Mayfield, I think, is more, even though he's not going to play, and he didn't play in a pro-style offense before, I still think he's more ready right now than Josh Allen. I think he's a smarter quarterback, more experience. He's a winner. So the Broncos are not a rebuild team. They're in a position to win, even if they get a young quarterback. So I think Mayfield makes more sense than Allen. If they get Allen and they start him, it's going to look like they're maybe going to rebuild mode, which their defense, I think, still has it. So it's interesting topic there. But then 6, I got the Jets going Josh Allen, quarterback, Wyoming. The Jets could afford to make this pick. They're not like super early stage rebuild mode because their defense is pretty good, but they did get younger last year and very good. I got 2 safeties that are going to be maybe the best safety duo in the future in the NFL. So defense is looking good, but the offense kind of looks like rebuild mode. Matt Forte retiring. They need running backs anyways. They need receivers. So they can afford to make the pick of Josh Allen. This is too early in my opinion. He's going to struggle at first, but he has a lot of potential. He's starting to grow on me a little more. He's got a future, but it's just going to take some time, and I do think 6 is too. I'm not a potential guy. I'm not going to take a guy super early because of his potential. I will if he can play now, but it's interesting. He's going to be a good player, though, so I wouldn't bash the pick too much. 7th pick, the Bucs taking Minkah Fitzpatrick, DB from Alabama. I mean, why not here at 7? You need pass rush more than DBs, but you also need DBs very badly. Fitzpatrick's the best player on the board here, no question. So why not? You can play him at corner, you can play him at safety, you can play him in the box. It's not like he can do all those at a high level. It's not like where do we put him? Which one is he be better at? Is he not going to be good at? He's going to be good at all those spots. So it works out for the Bucs here. You can't pass on him. And then number 8 is another one of my top players in the draft is Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker from Virginia Tech. He can play inside, he can play outside. He may be able to play at D end. He reminds me a little bit of Jalen Smith, the Notre Dame prospect from a few years ago, who's on the Cowboys, who would have been my number 1 player in the draft, but got hurt. And then a little bit of Anthony Barr in him too. Anthony Barr, some people thought was more of a 3-4 outside linebacker, maybe rushing the passer, but he's in a totally different system than that. And I think my point is Barr would have been able to do both, kind of like Jalen Smith. We've seen him play inside, play outside. So it reminds me of those two guys. Edmonds can do a lot, very athletic like those two guys. He's also young, has a ton of potential. So this is a potential guy that I like because he's really good now. I think he's really good now. Some people don't. Some people think he might struggle at first, but I think he'll be fine. Honestly, my top 2 players in the draft right now, I do like Quentin Nelson a lot, but maybe a guard having 1 or 2. It's hard for me to put him there, even though he's the best guard I've ever seen, for sure. So my top 2 players are the guys that just went 7 and 8, Minkah Fitzpatrick and Tremaine Edmonds. No doubt in my mind right now. But everyone is close. So combine and workouts, all that will matter. But there's the first 8 picks. On the next 8 picks. Quentin Nelson, Niners, offensive lineman from Notre Dame. I think they can use him. Best player available, too good to pass. They could go one of the linebackers here, possibly a corner in Josh Jackson, maybe a receiver. But I got him going Quentin Nelson. And number 10, I got the Raiders could be picking 9. We should find out at the combine here soon. 9 or 10, Niners, Raiders, everyone knows the drill now. I got the Raiders taking Rashaan Evans, linebacker from Alabama. Maybe people will expect Roquan Smith, but I like Evans on that defense. It just makes sense there. I like the fit. I know people love the Roquan Smith fit, but I might like the Evans fit a little more. I do have Smith slightly over Evans in a big board, so maybe I would pick Smith. I would really have to look into it, but that would be based on how I would run my defense. But I think Evans is a really good fit, and people have him like mid to late first. That's insane. I think he's a top 15 guy, top 16 guy, easy. Very good player, very smart, can do multiple things. Can use him in the blitz game too. He's very good. I know the Raiders got the Bama defensive back coach. What does linebackers have to do at DBs? But it has to do something. You know, the whole defense has got to play together. You got a specific way you're playing it, and Alabama had a very specific defense. So I know he's a linebacker, but it could make sense. So could Roquan Smith, and that's why I have going next to the Dolphins at 11. Just too good to pass. They could use a linebacker. They can use an offensive line, maybe a quarterback here. But he's just too good to pass, and it makes sense. And then 12, another too good to pass moment, Derwin James, safety, Florida State. They could use a safety. They do need a lot of help on the offensive lines. If Quentin Nelson's here, the Bengals, I don't know if the Dolphins would pass on him, but I don't know if the Bengals wouldn't pass on him either. But Derwin James, another guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, he can play wherever he wants. The guy's a football player. He flies around, reads plays. He's more valuable than the 12th overall pick, so that's why I have him going here. 13, Redskins going Vita Vea, defensive lineman, Washington. Redskins, you know, they need help stopping the run. So here you go. Here's Vita Vea. I don't know how some teams won't take a guy that won't be on the field for all 3 downs or more than that on a possession this early. Some teams will. He's really starting to grow on me. Mainly if you watch his tape, you realize why maybe it looks like he's lacking some production sometimes compared to like a Maurice Hurst, even though he has a lot of production. It's because he's double teamed like every place. So teams just fear him, and I like that a lot. Maybe 13's early for a guy that's not going to be on the field every play. You look at the guys that were drafted around him here that I had going around him, like Quentin Nelson, Rashaan, all these guys. They're going to be on the field every play. So how early is too early to take a guy like this? It is a very important position, and you don't really see a guy like Vita Vea every day. So he's a good player. 14, Packers, Joshua Jackson, corner from Iowa. If he's here, you got to take him. Packers need defensive help. They need corner help. They have some solid corners. They just don't have that number 1 corner. Maybe they're hoping that Kevin King gets there, but you need 2 number 1 corners really these days in the NFL. So Joshua Jackson's your number 1 corner. He's your best corner right away. Even though they have some depth, they got some guys that can play. They're missing that number 1 legit corner, and Jackson is a game changer. 15, Lamar Jackson, quarterback, Louisville. I love Lamar Jackson. He's a great quarterback, great football player. Just going against them scares me. Like, you just think about your team, think about a week coming up. You're going against Sam Darnold, and then another week you're going against Lamar Jackson. Who are you going to be more annoyed with? You're going to be a little nervous about Lamar Jackson. He's he's a nightmare. He's a nightmare. How you going to stop him? He's going to annoy defenses, coaches. That's the reason I really like Lamar Jackson. He can throw. He's accurate. Right offense, right team, he'll be good. I really like Lamar Jackson. I don't see why somebody wouldn't. People compare him to Vic. He was way better in college than Vic was. So I don't know. I like Lamar Jackson a lot. I would love him on the Cardinals. 16, Ravens, Calvin Ridley, wide receiver, Alabama. Calvin Ridley sounds like will be the first receiver off the board. I wouldn't make him the first receiver off the board. I like him, but I think he's a little overrated. I like other receivers better. Receiver class is very strange. There's like 10 of them you can rank in any order. I've never seen anything like it. It's gonna be interesting to see how they come off the board. But Calvin Ridley, good player, gonna make a team better. But I'm not as high on him as everyone else basically. On to 17, the Chargers take Maurice Hurst, D lineman, Michigan. I like Maurice Hurst a lot. Good production for an interior D lineman. Chargers could use an interior D lineman. Chargers don't have a whole lot of needs. Maybe safety if they don't get Boston back, but you expect them to. Not a whole lot of needs here. So I like the Chargers getting Hurst. 18, Seahawks getting Darius Geis, running back LSU. I believe Geis is number 10 on my big board right now, around that area, 9, 10, 11. Very good running back. I don't think he's far off from Barkley. So if he drops here to the Seahawks, please do it. Get Russ a guy like this. It'd be just fantastic. 19, Cowboys go Daron Payne, defensive lineman, Alabama. Need a lot. Really, they need a lot of defense. Byron Jones supposedly moving the corner, so maybe they can use another safety. They could use another corner. But they need D lineman too. So maybe Payne's the answer here. I think they would rather have a Hurst. I know some Cowboys fans like Vita Vea, but I like Hurst on the Cowboys, but he goes 2 picks before him. So they go Payne here, who is a good football player. Number 20, the Lions taking Ronald Jones, running back USC. Love Ronald Jones. Hits the hole with so much speed. Great vision. He's going to be a good pro. Lions have 2 solid running backs, but they could get better at the position here. So it makes sense. Then the Bills got 2 picks in a row. They got Marcus Davenport, edge rusher, Texas San Antonio, and then Malik Jefferson, linebacker, Texas. So they just go 2 defensive players, maybe the 2 best players on the board here. Defense is okay right now, but they can get better and younger here. That would be fantastic. Questionable maybe not getting a quarterback here if they don't pick one up in free agency, but they may have to pick one up in free agency unless they're damn sure they're going to trade up and get the guy they want in the draft. So, yeah, really too good to pass. Davenport getting talks, maybe even going high as 7 overall. Got a lot of potential. He can play. I know that, but I think maybe this is more of his range. And then Malik Jefferson, tackling machine, may lead the league in tackles early in his career. And he's a smart player as well. The Bills could use his talents for sure. And then on to 23, the Rams. I have them taking Denzel Ward, corner from Ohio State. Yes, they just traded for Marcus Peters, but I don't think they're going to get Tremaine Johnson back, which they would love to have him back. The duo of Peters and Tremaine Johnson would be ridiculous. But most likely not going to get him back because how much he wants. So you could use it. They have other corners too, but a duo of Peters and Ward would be ridiculous too. Ward, some people all of a sudden have him like top 15, even top 10. I think he goes down here. I don't have a problem with like height, size for corners, but I know teams do. Teams are looking for that 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2" guy now. So I think he drops a little bit because of that. Another guy that I think is good, really good, but people maybe overrate him just a little bit, maybe because he's Ohio State corner. They're really good. He is good, but I think this is more of his range. I have Josh Jackson over him in my cornerback rankings. Number 24 is Cortland Sutton, my number 1 wide receiver in the draft from SMU. I'm hoping he runs well in his combine. Keep it in the 4.5s. People forget that 4.5s is still pretty fast, especially when you're his size. I'm just hoping he doesn't run in the 4.6s. If it is, let's hope it's 4.60. But I think he's faster now. He looks faster on the field. He just really wasn't asked to do a whole bunch. Really, it was just kind of SMU's not good enough. We're going to drop back, throw you up the ball, and he just made the play. So I think he can do more. I think he's worthy of a better pick than 24. The Panthers would love to have him. On to the next pick. It's the 25th pick. I got the Titans taking Harold Landry, edge rusher from Boston College. I feel bad for the Titans fans because every mock draft you seem to see it's Harold Landry, and that's not why I put him here. I go in order. I give him the best player available while filling a need, and it happened to be Harold Landry here. He's a good player. He's got a good dip around the edge. Got speed. Only thing is sometimes he tries to use his hands too much and just push the guy into the quarterback, push the tackle into the quarterback. Maybe does that a little too much. Doesn't really work out, but he has the athleticism. He has the outside technique, so I like Harold Landry. I know Vrabel would love to have him. Titans could also go corner here or maybe D lineman. You expect it to be defense, though. Um, Falcons are next. The Falcons, Isaiah Wynn, offensive lineman, Georgia. He'd play guard right away for him. I like him a lot. Definitely worthy of the pick there. Falcons don't have a bunch of huge needs. So guard, interior D-line, maybe tight end. So not a bunch of huge needs. But Saints go Mike Hughes, corner from Central Florida. I have him more as an early second-round guy. I like him. He's got speed. He can return, too. But people say first round right now, so I expect him maybe to go first round. A team like the Saints could use him across the ladder. The reason I don't quite have him in first round, if somebody took him like right here, I wouldn't say it was a bad pick, but maybe a little early, but not a bad pick again. He's a good player, but something I noticed, it almost seems like he's the receiver. He thinks he's playing receiver at times, and the ball's downfield, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's fun to watch. He just thinks he's the guy. The ball's for him. That's a good trait. But as a defensive back, you're taught to go get the ball at the highest point because you have to beat the receiver to it. The receiver may be running in stride to catch the ball. The defensive back or the corner downfield is going to have to go up and catch the ball at the highest point to beat the receiver. You have to mimic the receiver and then be better than him. So sometimes playing receiver, you're not going to get the ball at the highest point. A guy like Julio Jones is going to go up in the air and catch it before you. So it's a good thing and a bad thing in some ways. So it's fun to watch. He's very good, very athletic, could return the ball too. I like him as a player, but 27, maybe a few picks too early, but that happens. No problem. Number 28, Steelers taking Jesse Bates, the third safety from Wake Forest. One of my favorite players in the draft once I put this guy's tape on. Man, I like this guy. I think he's a first rounder. Could go second round. The guy's a playmaker, turnover machine. You've seen him play center field. You've seen him play everything. Everything a safety can do, you see him do. He makes plays. Once he gets the ball in his hands, too, he's getting you good field position. He's probably gone for a touchdown. He's an excellent returner, too. I really like Bates. I think the Steelers could use multiple defensive backs. Could use a linebacker as well. But I really like Bates. He's an excellent player. Very smart, good at reading plays. Everything you ask for a safety. 29, the Jags taking Dante Jackson, corner from LSU. This is kind of if they don't get Aaron Colvin back. I think the nickel corner position is very, very important. There's not a whole lot maybe you can find, so you kind of got to reach for one a little bit. I think he's a second-round pick, but you reach for one a little bit because you don't know when you're going to get a chance to get a nickel corner. There's a couple other good ones, but you get this guy if Colvin's gone, and you make a good, the best trio of corners in the league because they already probably have the best duo. So that's looking good. 30, Vikings taking Connor Williams, offensive lineman, Texas. He may be gone. I think he could drop because some inconsistent play, but he's a good player. I think the Vikings could use the reason him over McGlinchey, maybe on a big board, I may have McGlinchey like very close. It's very, very close. Maybe I may have him just ahead of Williams, but I think Williams, the Vikings could use a right tackle or a guard, depending on what they do at Remmers. They got Reef over at left tackle. Remmers is originally a right tackle. They kind of wanted to move him to guard. So I think Connor Williams can play right tackle from right away. I also think he can play guard. So if they keep Remmers at right tackle, they go Williams at guard. So McGlinchey, I see as more of a left tackle. So they already got that filled out in Riley Reef, who is probably their best offensive lineman. So I like Connor Williams there. They may have to trade up a few picks to get him, but how I had it play out, he was there. So I don't think the Vikings like trading up too. I think they're more of a trading back team. They may not pick on day one because it seems like they make a million trades every single year. So on to the Patriots. I got them going. Mike McGlinchey could lose Nate Solder. He's still good, still very good. 30 years old though. Do they want to pay him? They're in a tight cap situation, so maybe they get a guy like McGlinchey who's maybe just as good. I think he could struggle early in pass protection. Very good run blocking tackle, but that's more of a guard's job. But he's a good player, but again, could struggle in pass protection early in his career, but will be good, especially on the Patriots. They would make him phenomenal. And then 32, the Eagles taking Christian Kirk, wide receiver, Texas A&M, the guy that I think will be a better pro than he was in college. Very good in college, though. Really can do it all. Guy just under 6 foot, can go up and catch the ball, too. It's very impressive. Eagles have some good receivers. Eagles got a balanced team all around, really. They don't really need much, but looking at Alshon Jeffrey, who just had surgery, we expect him to be good, but just in case, get another receiver, and Aguilar will be a free agent next year, so Kirk is kind of similar to Aguilar, but more of a downfield guy. Has more to his game, I think. So it makes sense. Even with those two guys healthy and on the team, they could use another guy, even though they have more than just those two guys. So it's kind of just future, just getting a future guy in there in case you lose a guy, and they don't really have too many needs. That's why they're Super Bowl champions, the very most balanced team by far. All right, we're on to the second round. 33rd pick. The Browns taking Carlton Davis, corner from Auburn. I have him as a first-round player, first-round grade. Could easily drop to the second, though. Very long corner, very physical. Not going to get a ton of receptions, but he's going to stop the number one receivers from making big plays. Auburn missed him their last two games, which they lost, and which they were not the same in the past game on defense, and he was out both those games. So that just shows how good he is. In the third to last game, he shut down Calvin Ridley, so he's a great corner. 34, the Giants taking Sony Michel, also another guy first-round grade on. He has all the traits you look for a running back. Maybe the lack of receptions people don't like, but I think he just wasn't asked really to do it a lot. He can do it. Speed of hitting the hole with his strength is just, you don't see it a lot, so he's great. 35, Browns taking Ronnie Harrison, safety from Alabama. Had them passing on Minka, so here they get a safety in the second, and it happens to be another Alabama guy. Colts take Will Hernandez, offensive lineman, UTEP. Some say first round, late first round. Now I feel more comfortable in the second. The Colts need offensive line help, so there you go. Jets go Kerryon Johnson, running back from Auburn. They need a running back. Forte retired. I can see him similar to Forte. I think he's more athletic. Obviously better if you compare their games right now. Forte's retired, so it's pretty obvious. But Kerryon Johnson's very good. Will be their starting running back. 38 bucks. I'm taking Arden Key, edge rusher from LSU. Could be a first-round player. I had him dropping. A little surprising I had him dropping. He's a good player, a lot of potential. Bucks need pass rush, so I don't think they would be able to pass on him. Problem is, earlier in his career, he looked like a top 5 pick, maybe top 10. Just excellent. Maybe he was slightly undersized, so they had him gain some weight, and then he wasn't the same player. It's a shame. I know he can get back there. Needs some work still, but reminds me, even his game reminds me of Leonard Floyd from the Bears. And the funny thing is, he had the weight problem too, but he kept it under control in college. He didn't really make him gain the weight. Still played at a high level. The Bears get him. It's obviously a professional program, strength program, and how they go about that is a better way than college. So he gained a little bit, not too much, still very athletic. So it's kind of weird. They remind me of each other in play style and the whole weight thing, which to me is just nonsense. Like even Leonard Floyd, I probably would have kept him where he was at. I'm not worried about that, but the Bears did a good job with him, so I'm not taking away anything from that. 39 Bears. Michael Gallup, wide receiver, Colorado State. Guy could sneak in the first round. Why can he sneak in the first round? Because he can do everything. Maybe the best hands in this draft class. There's no weakness to him. There's no weakness. The weakness is he played for Colorado State. So I like Gallup a lot. Maybe a safer prospect. So yeah, he could sneak late first, but you think more second round is more likely. So the Bears would love to have. They definitely need receivers in there. So they would love to have a guy like this. He would help Trubisky in multiple ways. He can run any route in any part of the field. Maybe he doesn't have the best route running in the class. Maybe he doesn't have the best speed in the class, but he's up there for all of them because he can do everything. 40, the Broncos take James Daniels, offensive lineman, Iowa. He can play guard or center. I expect him to play guard for the Broncos. They need offensive line help, especially if they get a quarterback first round or in free agency. Next part of the second round is the 41st pick. The Raiders take James Washington, wide receiver, Oklahoma State. I really like James Washington, and I really like him on the Raiders. Such a good fit. Him with Derek Carr just makes so much sense. Downfield guy. Talk about Michael Gallup having the best hands in the draft. They actually could be Washington. It's between Gallup and Washington. Those are two best hands in the draft, in my opinion. He's a playmaker too. Good after the catch. He's got the speed. Goes up, catches the ball. Only weakness is route tree. Wasn't asked to run a whole bunch of different routes at Oklahoma State in that offense. Just a lot of posts. It's not that he can't run the routes. We just really aren't 100% sure. So maybe that's why he drops. But an excellent athlete. 42, another Oklahoma State guy. Got the Dolphins taking Mason Rudolph, quarterback from Oklahoma State. I like Rudolph more than other people, I think. I think he should be a first rounder. Very good, especially how the offenses are changing. Maybe a little bit like college offenses. Maybe not quite Oklahoma State's offense, but Rudolph can play. He's a smart quarterback. I think the only thing most teams are worried about is velocity on the ball, but he can throw the deep ball very accurately. So Dolphins get him in there. Tannehill would start right away, but watch out for Mason Rudolph if they get him. 43, the Patriots going Isaiah Oliver, corner, Colorado. Could be a first-round guy, good pass deflection corner, very long, can reach for the ball wherever it's at. Colorado keeps producing corners. Them in Ohio State. Very impressive. Good man corner, too, and what do the Patriots like to do on defense? They like to run man, so there you go. Makes sense. Redskins is Sean Elliott, safety from Texas. I really like Elliott. I like his play reading ability. Those safeties with play reading abilities really stand out to me. I really like them. Redskins could definitely use his talents. You see this guy go across the field on a play that before it happens, he sees it happen once. He's gonna make sure it doesn't happen again, and gets a lot of interceptions too. Elliott could be a late first rounder. He's very good. Packers, Leighton Vander Esch, linebacker from Boise State, another guy getting first round talk. This is probably like the latest so good. The Packers could use pretty much anything on defense. They got two middle linebackers that were like surprisingly pretty good. You know, they're kind of guys that you didn't expect to be that good, but they could get better at the position here. I think Vander Esch is better than both Ryan and Martinez right away. So that could be an upgrade. Bengals, Billy Price, offensive lineman, Ohio State. Bengals need a lot of offensive line. Did not have him taken first, so take Billy Price, the guy that can play guard or center. Cardinals, DJ Moore, wide receiver, Maryland. Another one of my favorite players in the draft. The guy can do it all. Guy's like a running back when he gets the ball in his hands, too. He can break tackles. He's very smart. I think he measured in about 6 foot just this morning in the weigh-ins and measurements. That's impressive. People thought 5'11". Even if he is there, it's not a problem. Very good football player, very, very smart. So I can see him replacing the Browns. The Cardinals, they can use a shifty receiver like that. But he can do more than those guys, I think. So I like DJ Moore a lot. Chargers, Sam Hubbard, defensive lineman, Ohio State. Kind of too good to pass spot here. It could go late first, but I don't see him getting by this point. Chargers don't have a whole lot of needs. They get interior D-line in the first with Hurst and then Hubbard, maybe outside. Him and Bosa back together, that could be interesting. I know Ingram likes to play on the line, but he's also an outside linebacker. Bosa seems to stay on the line. So Hubbard and Bosa on the line, Ingram standing up, it's just scary. It's just very scary. And obviously Hubbard doesn't have to start or play every snap early in his career, but he's going to be a good football player. Can even slide him inside too. So it's just too good to pass. He fits the defense. They're going to like him. Is basically why I had this pick where I have it. 49, Jets take Jair Alexander, corner, Louisville. Another one of my favorite guys in the draft. Liked him a lot. Even last year, seen him pick off Watson 2 times. The guy knows how to find the ball. Turnover machine, pass deflection machine. The guy knows how to track the ball. Late first round would be a good pick even for this guy. So all the way down to 49 is great. The Jets need a corner. He's got that cornerback attitude too. All the best corners in the league have that very confident attitude. He's got it. So I like that. 50, Cowboys taking Deion Kane, wide receiver, Clemson. I would love Deion Kane on the Cowboys. Very good receiver, lack of production. Scared me at first this year, but it does not anymore because with Watson, he was great. Did a lot of deep ball action. And then I think he could do more than that too because of his speed, but it was mainly a deep ball, go up and catch the ball. Worked with Watson, but then Kelly Bryant, not only was he not good at the deep ball, he just like refused to throw it a lot. We've seen it in games. He should have thrown the ball, didn't do it. So Kelly Bryant's going to be a good quarterback, but deep ball, didn't like throwing it and wasn't really too good at it. So Deion Kane really had good production with what he had, I think. Wasn't a lot. If you look at the stats, wasn't a whole lot, but he's a good football player. Got top-end speed, too, down the field. 51, Lions take Harrison Phillips, defensive lineman, Stanford. I see a fit here. They also need interior D-line, so it makes sense. 52, the Ravens take Dallas Goedert, tight end from South Dakota State. Freak tight end, getting Gronk and Ertz comparisons. I see Kelsey in him too. Could possibly go first round. I was thinking about the Saints for him would be a great fit. But the Ravens, too good to pass here, and they need a new tight end too. Watson's a free agent, getting old. But he's still good. But Goddard would help them a lot. Get a receiver and a tight end. My God, good upgrade. Bills get their quarterback here in Luke Falk, quarterback, Washington State. I think he should be a lock at a second-round guy. Teams like him. There'll probably be a point in time coming up here that maybe he'll get some late first-round talk. It seems to always happen with the lock second, third-round quarterbacks. They all of a sudden get first-round talk, but I think second round's more like it. Bills get their quarterback of the future here. Chiefs go Jamon Moore, wide receiver, Missouri. Now, they traded Peters, so why aren't they getting a corner? Well, I think they traded Peters because they're pretty confident with their corners. They're pretty confident they may be able to pick one up in free agency. Doesn't really make sense to trade him and then draft a corner right. They could very well do it, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. They didn't even get a first rounder for him, so I think they can use a receiver like Moore has been on the rise for me lately. Just ridiculous. All these big guys. He's strong, 6'3". He's 6'3". He's ripped out of his mind. He has the speed. These big guys don't really have the separation of speed. He has it. The really only thing he doesn't have is maybe route tree. And it wasn't asked, like James Washington, wasn't asked to run a ton of routes at Missouri. It was just come back and a deep route down the sideline. I think he can run the other routes. That's why I like him a lot. If he was a late first round pick, it wouldn't be bad, but he's probably not going to go late first. So the Chiefs will like him. Mahomes with Moore would be ridiculous. You got Tyreek Hill who can cover. Tyreek Hill can cover all the field. Kind of a deep ball, but shorter guy. And then Moore is the longer guy. Top end speed. I think he's faster on the field than what he'll test. He'll still probably run the 4.4s, but he flies. He was torching the Georgia defense, who was the best defense in the country. So this guy is very fun to watch. A prototype receiver. Panthers go to Deshaun Hand, defensive lineman, Alabama. Panthers got some free agents there on D-line. This guy can play D-end or interior D-line, so it helps him. Could help him either way. So I like Deshaun Hand a lot in the second round. One of my favorite second-round players, I think. Could possibly go third, but I think second. Bills, get a receiver, get a target. Anthony Miller, wide receiver of Memphis. Maybe the best route runner in the draft. I think people say Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley, great routes. But I'm going Anthony Miller or another receiver that I have coming off the board, coming up here. So I like Anthony Miller's routes. Very smart receiver, very good receiver, under 6 foot, short steps. But I don't think it really matters when he runs a good route and he's pretty fast. So I think he's a second-round guy. Could very easily go third. We got a run of receivers coming off the board here. I really like the receiver class. Maybe no star in it. I think Cortland Sutton has star potential. But there's so many receivers that can play on your team right now, I think. We don't really see that a lot. 57, the Titans going Rasheem Green, a defense lineman, USC. I think he fits there at DN. They play 3 down linemen on defense. I think he can fit at DN. Another guy like Deshaun Hand can play inside or outside. So I think the Titans would love to have Deshaun Hand, but he's off the board here. So Rasheem Green, USC guy, just like Jarrell Casey, so it could be fun in that Vrabel defense. 58, Falcons, Mark Andrews, tight end, Oklahoma. Falcons could use a tight end. I'm not a big Hooper fan. He can play. I don't want him to sit on the bench the whole game, not what I'm saying. But you could get better. I think they're lacking a great threat tight end. He's a beast in the red zone. It's kind of what they're missing there. They had how many plays to score against the Eagles? The Falcons could have beat the Eagles. Maybe play calling wasn't there, but if they had Mark Andrews, he would have got open. They would have scored if they would have just gave him the chance. So I like him there. Makes sense. Niners going Quentin Meeks, corner from Stanford. I really like Quentin Meeks. Another guy, if he went late first, wouldn't be a problem. I think when the DBs go in the combine and do their position drills, I think we're going to start hearing about Meeks more. Because after putting on a tape, he has perfect technique, everything. Footwork, hips, tracking the ball, running with the receiver, one hand on the hip. It's just perfect. It's really just, look at Josh Jackson and Quentin Meeks, maybe the best technique guys in the draft. Love to see it. So if he goes to the right team, they work with his ball skill. I mean, he's got good ball skills, but work with him even more. It could be nice. Could be great. Steelers, Tavares McFadden, corner from Florida State, another corner off the board. Looks like a top 20 pick. If he came out last draft, he was able to, but didn't. Maybe an off year, but still knows how to track the ball. He's pretty long. Those Florida State corners are very impressive. And then you got 61. The Jags go to Sean Hamilton, wide receiver, Penn State. This is the other maybe best route runner in the class. He may be the best. Him and Anthony Miller. Seeing him against Josh Jackson, he was working him. I mean, he didn't have like torch him or anything, but with his routes, Josh Jackson kept up. But he made him work for it, is what I'm saying. Great routes. I just hope he catches the ball better. Seen some drops in the Senior Bowl. 62, the Vikings take Dorian O'Daniel, linebacker from Clemson. Maybe too good to pass. I like him a lot. Can cover for a linebacker. I know Zimmer likes to see that. They got Bard and Kendricks, and they had Gideon starting, who was a mid-round pick last year. Very impressive for a mid-round pick, but O'Daniel's just better. And he can fit that Mike Zimmer defense. 63, the Patriots go Taven Bryan, defensive lineman from Florida. Like Taven Bryan a lot. Probably should go earlier in this, but D lineman, it's kind of hard to see where interior D linemen go because they have to fit exactly. And like I said before, maybe can't be on the field at all downs, but he's very good. Patriots would love to have him. They could use his talents right now. And then the last pick in the second round, Dante Pettis, wide receiver, Washington, maybe the third best route runner in the draft class. Very smooth, maybe a thin frame, makes him drop, can return too. Good hands. Reminds me a little bit of Adam Thielen from the Vikings. Reminds me a lot like him. I haven't seen that comparison yet. Just something I came up with when watching tape. So obviously not as good, but he's going to be a good football player, can run routes. So there's that 2-round mock. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope everyone enjoys the combine. We got plenty more videos, team by team 7-round mocks, free agent videos, all kinds of stuff. Probably have combine recaps. It's a great time of the year for NFL fans. Maybe not the Eagles fans. The greatest day was that Super Bowl, but for everyone else, this is going to be a fun few weeks. Please keep coming back to the channel. We got plenty more to come. Please like and subscribe. Goodbye.